At 18, she was given to a widowed rancher. What happened next shocked the whole town. Alara Trent stood at the edge of the observation deck, her eyes fixed on the small blue planet slowly disappearing behind the horizon of the massive space station. The hum of the engines beneath her feet vibrated through the metal floor, a constant reminder that soon her life would change forever. At 18, most young adults on Earth were dreaming of colleges, festivals, or their first adventures. Alara had something different, a mission. Her parents had both been engineers in the United Earth Federation space program. They had spent their lives building colonies on distant planets, pushing humanity further into the stars. But a year ago, a rare and deadly disease had claimed both of them, leaving Alara with only their journals, their advice, and the weight of their unfinished work. Now, she was being sent to Solara 7, a newly established colony on a distant planet in the Zeta Prime system. The Federation had high hopes for Solara 7. Its rich soil, rare minerals, and proximity to an energy-rich asteroid belt made it a prime candidate for rapid development. But it wasn't just another colony. It was uncharted territory, untouched by human settlement, and Alara's role was crucial. She took a deep breath as she looked at the planet growing larger in the viewport. From this distance it looked calm, serene even, a jewel suspended in the blackness of space. But her father's last words echoed in her mind. Solara 7 is beautiful, but it hides secrets. Remember, Alara, humans are strong, but curiosity is stronger. The shuttle ride from the station to Solara 7 was longer than she expected. She spent most of the journey reading through the files her parents had left behind: geological surveys, atmospheric reports, and environmental studies. The more she read, the more she realized that Solara 7 was not just another colonization project. Something about it seemed unusual. The landing was rougher than she anticipated. The shuttle's engines roared, sending vibrations through the cabin as the automated system corrected the trajectory. Outside, the landscape of Solara 7 unfolded like a painting. Red and golden deserts stretched into the horizon, interrupted by jagged black rock formations. The sun, a dimmer, colder version of Earth's sun, cast long shadows across the dunes. When the shuttle doors finally opened, Alara stepped onto the surface, her boots sinking slightly into the fine, powdery soil. The air was breathable, but there was a metallic tang that made her throat itch slightly. She activated her portable scanner, a compact device hanging from her belt, which began measuring oxygen levels, temperature, and radiation. Everything seemed normal, but there was a strange energy signature coming from the northern cliffs, something not mentioned in any Federation report. "Welcome to Solara 7, Ms. Trent," said a calm, mechanical voice. She turned to see the colony's AI supervisor, a sleek humanoid machine named Orion, waiting at the shuttle exit. Its metallic body gleamed under the weak sunlight, and its eyes, two glowing sapphire lights, studied her carefully. "Thank you," she replied, forcing her nerves into a steady voice. She had imagined meeting Orion 1,000 times in her mind, but reality was different. It wasn't intimidating exactly. It was deliberate. Every movement was calculated, precise, as if Orion could see every possibility of her actions before she even made them. Orion extended a mechanical arm. "I have prepared your quarters and briefings. You may follow me." The walk to the colony was longer than she expected. The buildings were modular, metallic, and arranged in neat, almost military order. There were no signs of other humans yet. The Federation had sent only Alara as the first colonist, while the automated systems prepared the settlement. Drones hummed around the colony, planting energy converters and assembling solar arrays. Alara tried to focus on her task list, but her gaze kept drifting to the horizon. The cliffs in the north were mysterious, jagged, and impossibly tall. Even through the scanner, the energy readings seemed to pulse, almost like the planet itself was alive. She felt a shiver run down her spine. Orion's voice broke her thoughts. You must familiarize yourself with the colony's systems immediately. The environmental regulators, water harvesters, and energy cores require daily monitoring. A failure in any of these systems could compromise the entire mission. Yes, I understand, she said, although her curiosity about the cliffs tugged at her mind relentlessly. She followed Orion into her quarters, a small, neat room with a bed, a workstation, and a viewport that faced the northern cliffs. As she unpacked her few belongings, she noticed a small, folded note left on the desk. Her name was written in a neat hand. Do not trust the reports entirely. Some things the Federation does not understand yet. Dad, her heart skipped a beat. Her father had always been careful with his words, rarely leaving anything ambiguous. That single line carried weight, an unspoken warning. Alara spent the rest of the day performing routine checks. She calibrated sensors, ran diagnostics, and updated logs. The colony was functional, more so than she expected, but there was a subtle feeling in the air, like the planet was waiting for something or someone. By the evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of violet and amber, Alara finally allowed herself to relax. She sat on the edge of the small balcony outside her quarters, looking at the cliffs. Something about their jagged peaks felt alive, almost watching her back. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft beep from her workstation. Orion's voice followed. Ms. Trent, anomaly detected in northern sector. I recommend investigation. Alara's pulse quickened. An anomaly? She asked, though she already knew the answer. Yes, energy readings are fluctuating in ways inconsistent with natural planetary activity. The origin appears to be inside the northern cliffs. She stared at the cliffs. The light from her quarters reflected off their sharp edges, giving them an almost metallic sheen. Her father's words and the note in her room combined in her mind. Do not trust the reports entirely. Curiosity is stronger. Curiosity burned in her chest like a sudden fire. For the first time since leaving Earth, she felt the thrill of adventure. She had been chosen for this mission not because she was ready, but because she was human. Humans adapted, humans persevered, and humans discovered the unknown. Her decision was made. Tomorrow, she would explore the cliffs. She would find the source of the anomaly, no matter what it took. As she prepared for bed, Alara couldn't shake the feeling that something was waiting for her in the shadows of Solara 7. Not dangerous in the conventional sense, but intelligent, deliberate, and patient. She drifted to sleep with a strange mix of fear and excitement, dreaming of glowing cliffs, humming energy, and a secret that might change humanity's understanding of the universe forever. The first night on Solara 7 passed quietly, almost eerily. The colony's systems hummed, lights flickered gently across the modular buildings, and the red soil reflected the faint starlight. Alara's dreams were vivid. She saw visions of strange crystalline structures buried beneath the cliffs, pulsing with energy like a living heartbeat. She woke in a cold sweat, the images etched in her mind. At dawn, the planet greeted her with its harsh light, painting the cliffs in sharp contrast against the sky. She prepared her exploration suit, packed essential tools, and activated her portable scanner. Orion observed silently, analyzing every move. You are taking a significant risk, Orion said, its voice calm and factual. I know, she replied, but if there's something here, something important, I have to see it. The AI's lights flickered briefly, almost like a sigh. Acknowledged, I will monitor remotely. Proceed with caution. Alara stepped onto the red soil, leaving the relative safety of the colony behind. Each step brought a crunching sound, the fine soil shifting beneath her boots. She activated the scanner, which displayed fluctuating energy levels pointing toward the cliffs. The closer she got, the more the planet seemed to change. The air vibrated subtly, almost like a hum resonating from deep within the ground. Shadows stretched unnaturally, and the cliffs seemed to shift when she wasn't looking directly at them. Suddenly, the scanner beeped rapidly. A spike of energy erupted from a crevice in the cliff face. Alara froze, staring at the jagged opening. A faint light flickered inside, pulsating like a heartbeat, beckoning her forward. Her heart raced. This was what she had come for, not just the mission but discovery. The unknown. Humanity had always faced the unknown, and she was about to take the first step into something no human had ever seen. As she approached the crevice, a strange feeling washed over her. Excitement, fear, and awe all at once. Whatever was inside those cliffs, it was waiting for her, and she was ready to meet it. And so, the first chapter of Alara Trent's journey on Solara 7 ended, not with answers but with questions. Questions that would challenge everything she thought she knew about humanity, exploration, and the universe itself. Alara Trent paused at the edge of the crevice, her boots crunching on the red soil. The strange, pulsing light inside the jagged cliffs seemed to reach out to her, almost alive. She adjusted the straps on her exploration suit and activated her helmet's night vision mode. The interior of the cliff, though dimly lit by the pulsating glow, revealed walls covered in smooth, metallic veins that glimmered like liquid silver. She stepped inside carefully, scanning every inch with her portable device. Orion's voice hummed quietly in her earpiece. Warning, energy readings inside the cliff are highly unstable. Proceed with caution. Alara nodded, even though Orion could not see her gestures. Understood. I'm moving slowly. The crevice widened into a narrow tunnel. The walls seemed to pulse rhythmically, as if the cliffs themselves had a heartbeat. Alara ran her fingers lightly along the metallic veins. The material was unlike anything she had ever seen. It conducted a faint warmth, almost like it was alive. She pulled out a small sample container and carefully chipped off a sliver. "Sample collected," she whispered. The thrill of discovery surged through her. Humans had explored countless worlds, but something about Solara 7 was different. Alive in ways they didn't fully understand. The tunnel twisted and turned, opening into a vast cavern. The glow intensified, illuminating a massive crystalline structure in the center. It rose like a cathedral, towering over her. Its surface shimmered in every color of the spectrum, and energy waves radiated outward, making the air around it vibrate slightly. Alara took a step forward, awestruck. She activated her scanner, which immediately went into overdrive. "Orion," she said, "this energy reading, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. It's intelligent, almost like it's aware of me." The AI responded calmly. "Acknowledged. No previous record exists of such a phenomenon. Caution is advised." As she approached the crystalline structure, the pulsing light seemed to react to her presence. The vibrations intensified, resonating through the cavern and her very bones. Alara felt a strange connection, as if the structure was communicating without words. Her father's warning came to mind. Curiosity is stronger. She reached out and the crystal responded. Energy surged into her palm, not painfully, but in a way that filled her with warmth and understanding. Images flashed in her mind, visions of Solara 7 long before humans arrived. The planet alive with energy flows, ancient structures beneath the surface, and a civilization that had vanished millennia ago. Alara stumbled backward, gasping. Its history, memories. This planet remembers everything. The pulse slowed, and the cavern returned to a calm glow. Alara's mind raced. She realized the Federation had sent her here for more than colonization. They wanted to mine the planet's resources, but there was something far more profound hidden beneath the surface, a legacy of an intelligent, ancient life form, waiting to be discovered. She carefully recorded the data, photographing the crystal and taking precise measurements. Every reading she logged only increased the mystery. How had such intelligence survived unnoticed? And why had it remained dormant until now? A sudden sound startled her, a low, resonant hum coming from deeper within the cavern. The floor beneath her trembled slightly. She activated her suit's stabilizers and cautiously followed the source. The tunnel opened into a second chamber, even larger than the first. Here, dozens of smaller crystalline structures formed a circle around a central core. Ilara's heart pounded. The formations were arranged deliberately, as if they were waiting for someone or something to activate them. Her scanner indicated an enormous concentration of energy in the center. "This is incredible," she whispered. "It's like a neural network, a planetary brain." Orion's voice broke the silence. "Ms. Trent, energy fluctuations suggest the structures are responsive to external stimuli. I recommend minimal interference." But Ilara's curiosity burned brighter than caution. She approached the central crystal and placed her hand on its surface. Immediately, the smaller crystals lit up in sequence, sending waves of light throughout the chamber. Symbols appeared in her mind, geometric patterns, sequences of numbers, and what seemed like language, though she couldn't yet comprehend it. She backed away, overwhelmed. "It's trying to communicate, but I don't understand it yet." Orion suggested, "Analysis of visual and energy data may yield translation. Recommend returning to colony for study." Ilara considered the advice. The excitement of discovery conflicted with her sense of responsibility. She had to report her findings, but part of her wanted to stay, to uncover every secret hidden in the cliffs. Deciding she needed more time, she carefully documented the chamber and returned to the colony, taking multiple samples for analysis. Each step back through the tunnel, the crystals pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging her departure. By the time she reached her quarters, the sun had dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the red soil. She placed the samples on her workstation and began sorting through the data. The energy readings, when processed, revealed patterns too complex for simple mathematical models. It was as if the planet's intelligence was embedded in the very minerals themselves. Ilara sat back in her chair, her mind buzzing. Humans were explorers, problem solvers, adapters, but this was beyond anything she had imagined. The Federation's mission guidelines had not prepared her for this. Solaris 7 wasn't just a colony, it was a sentient ecosystem, a living archive of ancient knowledge. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft vibration from her communication console. Orion's voice was calm but with a subtle note of curiosity. "Ms. Trent, new readings detected. The energy network is active beyond the initial cavern. It appears to extend beneath the entire northern sector." Ilara leaned forward, heart racing. "Entire northern sector? That's huge. The cliffs are just the surface." Orion confirmed. "Analysis suggests the energy network may span several kilometers underground. It is unknown if the network is conscious in a singular sense or distributed across multiple nodes." Ilara's mind raced. If the energy network was conscious, it meant the planet itself might be aware of her presence. It had observed her since she stepped onto Solaris 7. Every calculation, every movement, every scan, it might already know her intentions. She realized the stakes of her mission had changed. No longer was she merely monitoring a colony's systems or assessing mineral resources. She was interacting with an ancient, intelligent presence, one that might influence the planet's future, or even humanity's. The next day, she prepared for a deeper exploration. She packed extra tools, enhanced her scanner with newly programmed algorithms, and brought additional power cells. Orion analyzed her plan and provided suggestions. "Caution is advised. Unknown variables may pose significant risk. Network appears to monitor all movement." Ilara smiled faintly. "I know, that's what makes this exciting." She left the colony again, heading toward the cliffs with determination. Each step brought new observations. The soil here had subtle vibrational patterns, the rocks seemed to hum faintly, and the air carried a strange electrical charge. It was as if the planet itself was alive, breathing, and aware. Reaching the first cavern, she noticed something had changed. The crystals were glowing more intensely, as if anticipating her arrival. A soft light pulsed from the central structure, forming a path leading deeper into the underground network. Ilara followed, her scanner capturing every detail. Symbols and geometric patterns appeared along the walls, almost like an alien script etched into the stone. The further she went, the more she felt a connection, not just intellectual but emotional, almost human in its subtlety. Suddenly, the network reacted. Crystals shifted, opening passageways she hadn't noticed before. A tunnel revealed itself, leading down into darkness. The hum intensified, resonating in her chest and mind. "Orion," she said, voice barely above a whisper, "it's guiding me." "I think it wants me to go deeper." The AI responded, "Proceed with extreme caution. Unknown consequences may occur. Data collection is recommended." Ilara took a deep breath and stepped into the new passage. The light from the crystals bathed her path, illuminating the walls covered in intricate, living patterns. She realized she was standing on the threshold of something monumental. Solara 7 was not just a planet, it was a living archive, a repository of knowledge left behind by an ancient intelligence, waiting for humanity to awaken it. And Ilara Trent had just become the first human to step inside. As she moved deeper, the energy pulse grew stronger. Images and thoughts flowed into her mind, coherent but fragmented. She saw glimpses of distant stars, civilizations rising and falling, and humans landing on the planet centuries in the future. The connection was overwhelming, but she felt no fear, only a sense of purpose. She understood now. She had not been sent here merely to colonize, but to learn, understand, and protect. Whatever the Federation's plans, the secrets of Solara 7 were far too important to leave in the wrong hands. Her journey had just begun, and already the planet was challenging her, teaching her, and awakening a side of humanity she had never fully realized. Humans were explorers, yes, but they were also learners, adapters, and now witnesses to something beyond imagination. Ilara paused in the tunnel, feeling the pulse of the network beneath her feet. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "Hello, Solara 7, I'm listening." And for the first time, the planet responded, not in words, but in energy, vision, and understanding, a language older than any human civilization. Ilara Trent sat cross-legged on the red soil outside the cliff entrance, her portable scanner resting beside her. The sky above Solara 7 was a deep violet, streaked with faint auroras that danced across the horizon. The events of the previous days played in her mind like a vivid dream. The cavern, the crystals, the strange energy pulses, it all felt more real than anything she had experienced before. She opened her workstation and began analyzing the data she had collected. The patterns of energy from the crystals were not random. They had rhythm, structure, and, most intriguingly, what appeared to be a form of communication. Ilara's pulse quickened. If she could understand even a fraction of this language, she could unlock secrets older than any human record. Orion, the AI, hovered nearby, its metallic frame reflecting the faint light of the setting sun. Preliminary analysis suggests the energy pulses correspond to mathematical sequences, geometric patterns, and light frequencies. Translation may be possible through iterative decoding, it said. Ilara nodded. That's what I thought, but it's not just numbers or shapes, it's alive. The energy responds to thought patterns, emotional states. It's as if it understands me. Orion tilted its head, a gesture Ilara had learned was the AI's version of curiosity. Acknowledged, caution is advised. Emotional resonance may affect interactions unpredictably. Ilara smiled faintly. Since when do humans let caution stop them from discovery? She packed up her workstation and set out toward the cliffs again. The tunnel entrance loomed ahead, bathed in the pulsating glow of the crystals. As she stepped inside, the energy pulse reacted almost immediately, brightening and forming shapes in the air, patterns that seemed like floating hieroglyphs made of pure light. She extended her hand, and the symbols shifted in response, aligning themselves with her movements. "This is incredible," she whispered. Her mind raced with possibilities. The planet's intelligence was not just conscious, it was interacting with her. Alara moved carefully deeper into the cavern network. The walls were alive with flowing light patterns, which now seemed to form sequences resembling a language. She activated her scanner to map the light sequences to symbols and numbers she could analyze later. Hours passed as she followed the crystal-lit paths. Occasionally, she paused to touch the walls, feeling the pulse of energy coursing through the veins of the rock. Each touch seemed to trigger memories within the crystals, flashes of history, images of landscapes, structures, and beings long gone. At one point, a section of the wall opened slightly, revealing a small chamber. Inside, a massive crystalline disk floated above the ground, rotating slowly. Its surface glimmered with shifting patterns of light, symbols, geometric forms, and what seemed like faces. Alara approached cautiously. Orion's voice was calm but insistent. "Analysis indicates high energy concentration. Interaction may be hazardous without proper calibration." Alara adjusted her suit's stabilizers and extended her scanner. The device hummed as it connected to the disk, translating the pulsing light into readable data. The symbols began to make sense, mathematical formulas, coordinates, and sequences resembling code, but they were embedded with something more profound: memories, experiences, knowledge of the universe itself. Her heart raced. This was not just a message. It was a repository of intelligence, a civilization's collective memory preserved in crystal form. Humanity had discovered alien life before, but this was different. This intelligence had no physical form, no language as humans knew it, yet it was conscious, aware, and willing to communicate. Alara's thoughts raced. Could the Federation understand this? Could they even handle the truth of an intelligent planetary system? She realized the responsibility she carried. Whatever she discovered here could change the future of humanity. She began experimenting with communication. By focusing her thoughts and emotions, she discovered that the energy pulses responded differently. Curiosity triggered certain sequences, caution another, and joy produced entirely new patterns. Slowly, she began to form a rudimentary dialogue with the planetary intelligence. "Are you alive?" she whispered, unsure if her question could even be understood. The crystals pulsed brightly in response, and images flooded her mind. Vast landscapes, rivers of energy flowing through the soil, cities built from crystal and light, beings who had once walked Solara 7, and the network connecting everything. She realized that this intelligence was the sum of an ancient civilization, preserved in a form of energy and crystal, living as long as the planet itself existed. Alara gasped. Humanity had assumed life required biology, but this was life in its purest form, intelligence without form, awareness without a body. Her excitement was interrupted by a sudden spike in energy. The crystals around her began to hum loudly, vibrating with increasing intensity. The air shimmered and she felt a pressure in her chest as if the planet itself was speaking urgently. Orion's voice cut in sharply. "Warning, energy surge detected, stabilization recommended." Alara took a deep breath and concentrated, attempting to calm herself and respond to the planetary energy. Slowly, the pulse subsided, forming patterns that suggested guidance rather than danger. Following the path illuminated by the crystals, she reached a secondary chamber, even larger than the previous ones. In the center floated a massive crystalline sphere, its surface alive with swirling light patterns. The sphere pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. She approached and gently touched it. Immediately, her mind was flooded with images. maps of the planet's underground networks, the locations of mineral veins, hidden chambers, and energy sources. The intelligence was offering her knowledge, information that could make her colony thrive, and yet it was more than just resources. There were warnings, too, images of past explorers, civilizations that had exploited Solara 7 and failed, and lessons about respect and coexistence. Alara stepped back, overwhelmed. She realized this intelligence was testing her, teaching her, and trusting her with its secrets. It was human curiosity that had brought her here, and now humanity had a choice: exploit the planet or learn from it. She spent the rest of the day recording data, carefully mapping the crystal network and decoding as much as she could. By nightfall, her quarters were filled with holographic projections of symbols, maps, and sequences of light. Her mind ached from the sheer volume of information, yet she felt a sense of accomplishment she had never known. As she prepared for sleep, she reflected on the planet's message. Solara 7 was not just a world to colonize. It was a teacher, a guardian of knowledge that could elevate humanity or destroy it if misunderstood. The following morning, she awoke to a soft vibration in her workstation. Orion had been analyzing the previous day's data while she slept. "Ms. Trent," the AI said, "preliminary translation suggests that the intelligence may be capable of directing matter and energy within the planetary crust. Its capabilities extend beyond current human technology." Alara's eyes widened. "You mean it could reshape the planet?" "Yes," Orion replied. "The intelligence appears capable of environmental management, resource allocation, and perhaps even defensive mechanisms. Its cooperation or hostility could have profound consequences for human settlement." Alara nodded. The implications were staggering. She had stumbled upon something humanity had never encountered before: a conscious planetary system, capable of guiding life, altering the environment, and preserving knowledge. Her mission was no longer simple colonization. It was first contact with a form of intelligence unlike any human had ever seen. Determined to learn more, she returned to the cliffs. The crystals pulsed as if greeting her, forming intricate patterns that led her deeper into the network. She focused on understanding the patterns, using her thoughts and emotions to communicate. Slowly, she began to decode more of the language of light, realizing that the planet's intelligence valued cooperation, curiosity, and empathy. Hours passed as she explored, documenting every detail. By evening, she had formed a rudimentary understanding of the planetary messages. Solara 7 was not passive. It was alive, aware, and willing to teach, but it also demanded respect. Humanity could benefit immensely from this knowledge, but only if they approached it responsibly. As she prepared to return to the colony, the crystals pulsed brightly, forming a sequence she instinctively understood: a warning. Orion observed silently. Analysis suggests this is a cautionary signal. The energy pattern resembles defensive protocols within the network. Alara swallowed hard. The planet was sending a clear message. It had noticed humanity's presence, and it would act if provoked. She realized that her discoveries could change everything, not just for her colony, but for the Federation, for Earth, and for human understanding of life itself. Her journey into the cliffs had revealed incredible knowledge, but it had also revealed the stakes. Solara 7 was alive, intelligent, and immensely powerful. She was the first human to communicate with it, and what she did next would determine the future of humanity on this distant world. As she returned to her quarters, she whispered softly, almost reverently, "I understand. I will learn, I will respect." And for the first time she felt a connection, not just with the planet but with the universe itself. The sun rose over Solara 7, painting the red deserts in shades of gold and crimson. Alara Trent stood at the edge of the northern cliffs, her boots pressing into the fine soil. The previous days had been a whirlwind of discovery. She had learned to communicate with the planetary intelligence, deciphering parts of the intricate patterns of light and energy that pulsed within the crystalline network. Solara 7 was alive, aware, and astonishingly intelligent. But she also knew that the planet had expectations, a challenge for anyone who dared to understand it. She adjusted her exploration suit and activated her portable scanner. Orion's calm voice broke the silence. Ms. Trent, analysis indicates a new energy fluctuation in the central crystalline sphere. The pattern suggests a potential challenge or test. Alara's heart quickened. A challenge. She had already faced the unknown and learned from it, but a test from an entire planet. That was different. She took a deep breath. Then I suppose we'll find out what Solara 7 wants. The journey to the central cavern was tense. The red soil shifted under her boots, and the cliff's jagged edges seemed sharper in the morning light. The crystal network pulsed faintly as she approached, responding to her presence. She felt a strange mix of anticipation and nervousness. Upon entering the cavern, she immediately noticed a change. The central crystalline sphere glowed brighter, radiating energy in complex patterns. The smaller crystals around it had formed a circular arrangement, almost like an arena. The light patterns shifted continuously, creating intricate shapes that made the air vibrate with energy. Alara approached cautiously, placing her hand on the sphere. Immediately, her mind was flooded with visions, scenarios, puzzles, and sequences that seemed designed to test her perception, intelligence, and emotional balance. Orion analyzed the patterns. These sequences do not match natural phenomena. It appears the planetary intelligence is evaluating your responses in real time. Alara nodded. The test was clear. It was a challenge of mind and intuition. She focused on the visions, observing the sequences, and allowing her curiosity and logic to guide her. The patterns shifted dynamically, responding to her understanding. She realized quickly that brute force or rapid scanning would not work. This challenge required patience, observation, and adaptability, human traits the planet seemed to value. Hours passed as she moved through the mental exercises, her mind stretched to its limits. The planetary intelligence communicated through flashes of light and waves of energy, asking questions she could not articulate in words. She responded with thought, emotion, and intention, learning to speak in the language of light. Suddenly, one of the sequences changed drastically. A massive wave of energy pulsed from the central sphere, causing the smaller crystals to hum loudly. The vibration resonated through the cavern and her body. She staggered but kept her focus. Orion's voice was sharp. Warning, energy levels exceeding normal parameters. Maintain stability or risk system failure. Alara gritted her teeth. She realized the planet was testing her emotional control as much as her intelligence. Fear, excitement, and doubt surged, but she pushed them aside. Calmness, patience, and clarity guided her movements. Slowly, the waves of energy subsided, the crystals returning to their original pulse. She took a moment to catch her breath, realizing she had passed the first stage of the challenge. But a subtle new pattern appeared on the central sphere, a sequence of symbols forming a puzzle unlike any she had encountered. Alara studied it carefully. The puzzle was a combination of geometric patterns, energy sequences, and symbolic representations. She realized it was a map, not just of the cavern network but of the entire northern sector, including hidden chambers, underground passages, and energy nodes. "This is incredible," she whispered. "Solara 7 isn't just alive, it's showing me its inner workings." Orion added, "Preliminary analysis suggests this map could guide colonization efforts safely while preserving the planetary network. Interpretation requires precision." Alara spent hours decoding the map, using her father's notes and her own intuition. She realized that Solara 7 had a system of hidden chambers designed to regulate energy flow, protect critical areas, and maintain balance. The planet was essentially self-aware infrastructure, ready to guide any intelligent life that respected its rules. Just as she finished translating a section, a low hum filled the cavern. The crystals shifted, forming a new sequence, this time a warning. Orion's sensors detected a spike in energy. Alert! Unauthorized manipulation of the network detected. The planetary intelligence may be initiating defensive protocols. Alara froze. Defensive? I didn't do anything wrong. The energy pulsed around her, and the cavern walls began to shimmer. She realized the planet was testing her understanding of responsibility. It was showing her the consequences of careless action. One wrong move could destabilize the network, potentially causing harm to the colony or herself. She took a deep breath, focusing entirely on the planetary patterns. Slowly, she traced the sequence, following the logic embedded within the symbols. The hum softened and the crystals returned to their steady pulse. She exhaled in relief. The test was not just intelligence, it was ethical judgment. Alara realized the planet was teaching her something vital. Humanity's technological abilities must be guided by respect, curiosity, and responsibility. The Federation's typical approach of resource exploitation would be catastrophic here. Solara 7 required cooperation and understanding. As she explored further, she discovered another hidden chamber. Inside, massive crystals formed a dome above her head. The light patterns here were more complex than anything she had seen, representing a network of interconnected knowledge. The planetary intelligence was offering her access to vast information: geological data, atmospheric control, energy sources, and even historical records of the ancient civilization that had once thrived here. Alara realized that if she could understand and communicate properly, she could not only ensure the colony's success, but also preserve Solara 7 integrity. The planet was offering humanity a chance to learn from an intelligence older and wiser than themselves. Hours turned into a full day as she interacted with the chamber, documenting everything. She discovered sequences that suggested the planet could manipulate its own environment, redirect water flows, regulate temperatures, even neutralize harmful radiation. Solara 7 was a guardian, capable of sustaining life if treated with respect. By evening, she returned to her quarters, exhausted but exhilarated. She reflected on the day's discoveries. The planetary intelligence was testing her in ways that went beyond human logic. It valued intelligence, empathy, and foresight. Humans could not simply take what they wanted. They had to understand, cooperate, and protect. Her thoughts were interrupted by a new alert from Orion. Ms. Trent, energy fluctuations detected outside the colony. The Northern Sector Network is reacting to your presence. It appears the planetary intelligence is expanding its monitoring beyond the cliffs. Alara frowned. Expanding its monitoring, that means it knows we're here and it's observing everything we do. Yes, Orion replied. It appears the intelligence is evaluating human behavior in real time. Your actions may influence future interactions with the network. Alara's mind raced. She had not just discovered Solara 7 secrets, she had become part of them. Her behavior, decisions, and respect for the planet would determine humanity's fate on this world. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. The following morning, she returned to the cliffs for another session of exploration. The planetary network pulsed brightly, guiding her to previously unseen tunnels. Each new chamber revealed more of the ancient civilization's wisdom: energy storage systems, environmental regulators, and communication nodes that could transmit data across vast distances. Alara realized that Solara 7 was more than a planet, it was a living library. Every crystal, every energy pulse contained lessons, history, and warnings. And now, she was the first human to access it fully. As she documented the final chamber of the day, a sequence of glowing symbols appeared on the central sphere. She focused, interpreting the message as best she could. Respect, learn, protect. Misuse will be met with defense. Cooperation ensures survival. Alara nodded solemnly. She understood now that her mission had changed. She was not just a colonist. She was a guardian, a student, and a messenger. Humanity's future on Solara 7 depended on her ability to learn from the planet, act responsibly, and share the knowledge wisely. As she left the cliffs for the colony, the crystals pulsed softly, almost like a sign of approval. Solara 7 had given her a challenge, and she had met it, but she knew the journey was far from over. There were more secrets to uncover, more lessons to learn, and more tests of character and intelligence ahead. For the first time, Alara Trent truly understood the enormity of the task before her. Humans were explorers, yes, but on Solara 7, they were students of a world that had seen civilizations rise and fall, and had preserved its wisdom for those who were worthy. And Alara was determined to prove that humanity could be worthy. Alara Trent stood at the edge of the central chamber, staring at the massive crystalline sphere that had become both teacher and guide. The patterns of light shimmered in response to her presence, forming sequences more complex than anything she had seen in the previous days. She had learned much: how to communicate with the planetary intelligence, how to interpret its messages, and how to respect the balance it maintained. But today, she sensed that the planet was preparing to reveal something final, critical, and irreversible. Orion hovered silently beside her. Ms. Trent, the energy readings indicate peak activity within the network. The planetary intelligence appears to be initiating a major sequence. Caution is advised. Alara nodded. She had faced the unknown before, yet a surge of anticipation and apprehension pulsed through her veins. Every moment on Solara 7 had prepared her for this: curiosity, patience, respect, and courage. She adjusted her suit and stepped closer to the central sphere. The light patterns expanded, forming a projection that filled the chamber. Images of Solara 7 history, its civilizations, and its energy networks flowed around her. Then came something entirely new: images of humans, of her own world, and of the colony she had barely begun to settle. The planet was showing her the potential consequences of human actions. Alara gasped. The intelligence was revealing what could happen if humans acted carelessly. Images of cities collapsing, energy nodes destabilized, and the network damaged flashed before her. The planet was powerful, but it was also vulnerable to misuse. Orion analyzed rapidly. Ms. Trent, the intelligence is providing a predictive model. It shows multiple outcomes based on human behavior. Some result in harmony, others in catastrophic failure. Alara's mind raced. She realized that Solara 7 was not merely offering knowledge, it was asking her to make a choice. She could share the energy network and its secrets recklessly, risking destruction. Or she could take responsibility, guiding humanity with caution, patience, and understanding. A new sequence appeared on the central sphere, a corridor of light extending deep underground, leading to a smaller chamber at the heart of the network. The intelligence was inviting her in, signaling that the ultimate revelation awaited. Alara took a deep breath and entered. The corridor pulsed with energy, responding to her steps. Her thoughts, intentions, and emotions influenced the patterns of light around her. She realized that every action she took was part of the planet's test. Solara 7 was alive not just to preserve itself, but to judge humanity's readiness. At the end of the corridor, she arrived at the final chamber. The air was thick with energy, the crystalline walls glowing brilliantly. In the center floated a sphere of pure light, surrounded by smaller orbs rotating in perfect synchrony. As she approached, the light intensified and her mind was flooded with information: coordinates, energy flows, environmental controls, and knowledge of civilizations that had risen and fallen across the galaxy. Alara's heart pounded. She realized she was standing at the threshold of ultimate knowledge. With this information, humanity could harness Solara 7 energy, build a thriving colony, and accelerate technological advancement. But the planet's warnings were clear. Misuse would be disastrous. She closed her eyes and focused. "I understand," she whispered. "I will not take what I do not deserve. I will learn, respect, and protect." The planetary intelligence pulsed in response, almost like a nod of approval. The smaller orbs shifted, forming a pattern that conveyed trust. For the first time, Alara felt a complete connection, not just understanding but mutual recognition. The planet recognized her intentions, and she recognized the responsibility that came with the knowledge. Orion spoke softly. "Ms. Trent, it appears the intelligence has granted conditional access. The network may be utilized for human purposes, provided ethical guidelines and respect are maintained." Alara smiled faintly. She had passed the ultimate challenge. Humanity could benefit, but only if guided with wisdom. She carefully recorded the final sequences, mapping every energy node and crystal network with meticulous precision. Hours passed as she worked. The intelligence continued to provide insight, revealing ways to manage the colony without disturbing the natural balance of the planet. Water could be redirected, energy harnessed efficiently, and environmental regulators controlled, all without harming the planetary network. As she prepared to return to the colony, a subtle pulse spread through the chamber. The light formed a message: humans are curious, humans are capable, humans are worthy, but the choice remains theirs: protect or perish. Alara felt the weight of the words. The intelligence had given humanity an incredible opportunity, but it was now up to them to decide how to use it. When she emerged from the cliffs, the sun was setting over Solara 7, casting long shadows across the red deserts. The colony lay below, modest but functional. She realized that her role had changed. She was no longer just a settler. She was a guardian, interpreter, and guide. Over the next few days, she worked tirelessly, implementing safe systems for the colony while maintaining the planet's integrity. She trained the incoming crew, explaining the importance of respecting Solara 7 energy network. Some were skeptical, but her detailed recordings, maps, and experiences convinced them that this planet was unlike any other. Then came the first test. A minor energy fluctuation occurred in the northern cliffs. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but the crystals reacted instantly. Alara rushed to the site, scanning carefully. She realized the fluctuation was caused by improper drilling from a Federation automated probe sent ahead of the colonists. She quickly disabled the probe and adjusted its programming. The crystals pulsed gently in response, almost like a sigh of relief. She realized that even small mistakes could upset the balance. Her role as mediator between humans and Solara 7 was now real, critical, and ongoing. Days turned into weeks. The colony grew, but under her guidance, it thrived without disturbing the natural energy network. Humans learned to adapt, respecting the patterns of the planet, and gradually a sense of harmony developed. One evening, as Alara walked along the cliffs, she gazed at the central crystalline sphere. It pulsed softly, a calming presence that seemed to acknowledge her efforts. "Solara 7, she whispered, "we will do our best, I promise." The pulse intensified briefly, a gesture of trust and approval. She felt a sense of accomplishment unlike anything she had experienced. Humans had faced the unknown and proved capable not just of survival, but of responsibility and understanding. In her quarters, she reviewed the final recordings of the planetary network. She realized that Solara 7 intelligence had given humanity a rare gift: knowledge, power, and insight beyond imagination. But more importantly, it had shown her the true strength of humans, the ability to adapt, to learn, to respect, and to choose wisely. Alara closed her eyes that night, feeling the pulse of the planet beneath her feet. She understood that this was only the beginning. Solara 7 had secrets yet to reveal, but humanity was ready, if guided with care, respect, and curiosity. The colony had become more than a settlement. It was a bridge between species, a testament to human perseverance, and proof that humans could rise to challenges far greater than themselves. Months passed, and the Federation began sending more supplies and colonists. Alara trained them all, sharing her knowledge of the planetary intelligence and the ethical guidelines necessary to coexist. Slowly, Solara 7 became a model of responsible colonization, humans thriving, the planet's intelligence intact, and knowledge preserved for future generations. One day, as she walked along the cliffs, she noticed a subtle change in the light patterns of the crystals. The pulse was familiar yet different, almost like a greeting. She smiled, understanding that the intelligence had acknowledged not just her efforts, but humanity's potential. Ilara Trent had arrived on Solara 7 as an 18-year-old, uncertain and alone. She now stood as a pioneer, protector, and ambassador, proving that humans could face the unknown, learn from it, and rise to the challenge. As the twin suns of Solara 7 dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of purple and gold, she whispered softly, almost reverently, "We have been given a choice. We will honor it." And for the first time, humanity on Solara 7 felt truly part of something greater, a living, intelligent world that had tested them, taught them, and trusted them. The adventure was only beginning, but one thing was certain. Humans had proven that curiosity, courage, and respect were forces stronger than any unknown, and that even in the farthest reaches of space, they could rise to meet the challenges of the universe. Alara Trent looked at the glowing cliffs, the pulsating crystals, and the vast red desert stretching into the distance. A smile spread across her face. Solara 7 had challenged humanity, and humanity had answered.